All right, well, today's back day. Before back day gets started, I actually went and swam for about 30 minutes to an hour, and it's nice and relaxing. Um, my joints feel a lot better when I'm in the water, and the pain is considerably down, so that's a win for me. I'm not exactly sure about the calories burned swimming laps, but I'm sure it's a little extra, and I'm doing the same amount as I was in terms of just getting my steps in and then treadmill. So, I think it's worth it to go ahead and do that, you know what I mean? But it's not too exhausting either. And I think that's a good warm up too before I go and hit back really hard. And especially because back's one of those, I think part of the reason I love it so much is that I can just push a lot harder and I can feel the muscle a lot better. When it's chest day, when I'm benching, it's kind of hard. I feel my chest sometimes, but then a lot of my shoulders take over, my triceps take over. When I'm doing legs, I can feel them, but especially when you're squatting, you feel, your lower back gets involved. You feel that you're feeling your core getting tight. But with back day for me, I just feel my back, whether it be my traps I'm working, whether I'm working my lats, my rhomboids, I can just feel it so much better than any other lift. And then, the accessory that I add in that I just love is face pulls. I think they really pump up my rear delts, and there's something that I've worked on to try and get and bring up a little more. And I just love doing it. I love to take an actual bench and lay on it instead of the traditional just standing up face pull, because I don't have to worry about balancing myself. I don't have to worry about tightening my core. I can just, go as hard as I can in terms of just pumping up my rear delts. And that's good for shoulder health too. So, I'm feeling great. And this has just always been my favorite day. I don't know why. I mean, legs were close, but this one I've also, whether I've been deadlifting, barbell rows, lat pull downs, I've never had an issue. I've never gotten hurt. And I don't want to jinx myself, knock on wood, but it's just always been my favorite day. And so, I'm going to eat a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit a nice workout, get my cardio in, and we'll see how I do.
Oh, we need to make your packets. Yeah, I was thinking for a side, we need a side, do like a. Nice bite. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, this was a good workout. This was probably the best workout I've had since I've started documenting it. Oh, it's Coach. This is the person that has me eating such little calories. Say hi. She from down the way. Um, but anyways, this was probably the best workout that I've had in this entire circuit, and probably in the last couple months. I just had enough energy to actually complete it. There was a little moment where my neck got tense on that last set of face pulls, but that's to be expected. And I will say that I'm getting a better feeling of the cut. I'm getting used to it. And so, I'm trying also to experiment with maybe keeping my workouts a little shorter just so I don't over fatigue, because I'm realizing, the first 30 minutes of the workout, because I'm not in a fed state, I'm starting to like taper off on energy and I'm going all out. That's not an excuse for me to half-ass anything, but I am noticing that, I'm just breathing a lot heavier. I'm low on glycogen because I'm on a cut, and so it's just tiring. And in a bulk state, you end up having that excess energy. You're fed, you can pull from your glycogen stores in your fat cells, technically, if you were like doing cardio for a long period of time, which happens anyways. But the process of me expending all this energy, it's way harder for me to keep going. And so, intensity will not ever be sacrificed, but maybe a few sets, maybe taken out, and that's not to say I'm going to let the weight drop, because honestly, I don't think that it should drop more than 20-25% what it was if you're not ego lifting. And so I'm going to try and keep it up there, because it's also that if I'm succeeding that I can't do this, I really can't push the weight, then I'm cutting too hard, and it's going to happen. I'm going to lose strength, but this is a harder cut, and I'm prepared for that. But I'm going to do my best to keep around the same, because today when I was using the Smith machine, because I needed to be adaptive to what was going on in the gym, I added 5 pounds, which is solid. If I was doing bad form and I was bulked, I could do 135, but still, going from 115 on a cut to 120 on exercise, that's a big win. You should be trying to progress still. I don't think you should take anything out if you can. You should be trying to add more still, So, I mean, that was a good circuit, and this is my favorite day of the circuit, Even though there's some days where I'm like, I wish I was doing more, or, this isn't my favorite, I got this one to look forward to. I always have a good back day. There's never a bad back day, So, cycle repeats again. Back to chest tomorrow. Gonna do some more benching and incline. Hopefully, I can make a little progress. But for now, I'm gonna eat my barbecue chicken and broccoli and rest up for tomorrow.